Hey there, footy fans. Time to have a bit more footy fun with FootyFin here. And yes, back in the home studio. Not the best lighting, but you get that on big jobs. I've got the Broncos jersey here, and this one represents the Warriors, who are going to clash tonight, of course, at Lang Park. So just quickly, last night we had what was a pretty one-sided affair in the end at Stadium Australia. The Panthers overcame the Melbourne Storm without too many worries at all. Just a couple of reflections on that one. It's so fucking boring watching them win all the time, by the way. But anyway, look, the Storm started pretty well. And look, I would say I think the Panthers had the rub of the green on one or two ref decisions in the first half. I think it was Seve was penalised, and that was a very borderline call, even watching in slow motion. And then that led to the first of Brian To'o's tries in the corner. Somehow the nuggety young fellow ducked under the cover defence. But the Storm bounced back with a power play, a power try to Justin Nolan, who very easily palmed off Isaac Tungor, who's returned from a pec injury. But listen, from there, on the back of a couple more ref decisions, the Panthers got away to an 18-4 halftime lead. And then sadly from there, it was all one-way traffic in the second half. And I can't even remember what the Panthers won by 30-odd points. I got really bored with it. To'o got a hat-trick, good on him. So they make their way into their fourth grand final in as many years now. Anyway, moving on to tonight's blockbuster clash, which should not be so one-sided. This is at Lang Park, of course, home of the Broncos. Both teams, I'm looking at the team lists on the NRL website right now. Of course, there were a few late changes last night for the Storm, but it didn't help them. Both teams are almost unchanged from their last outings. The Broncos, of course, easily beat Melbourne 2 weeks ago, and then the Warriors dispatched with the Knights by, I think, about 30-odd points at Auckland last week. So just to quickly run over the team lists, there really are no changes as far as I can see to the starting 17 for the Broncos and possibly the Warriors. So we got Walsh at fullback, Arthurs and Cobbo on the wings, Katoni Staggs and Herbie Farnworth in the centres, Ezra Mann, Adam Reynolds in the halves. The front row for the Broncos is Flegler, Walters and Haas. Second rowers, Capewell and Jordan Ricky, and lock Patrick Carrigan. Now the bench is fairly young and inexperienced for the Broncos, by the way. Tyson Smoothie, what a name. Piakura, Hetherington and Palacia. Oates and Tapau are the 18th and 19th man. Now for the Warriors, Chansey Nickel-Clockstart, Watene Zelezniak and Montoya on the wings, Berry and Pompey in the centres, Tamari Martin pairs up with Sean Johnson in the halves, front row, Fanua Blake, Egan, Barnett, second rowers, Ford and Niokore, Tohu Harris is the lock and captain, and then on the interchange bench, Walker, Tavanga, Siranen and Curran. So, look, two pretty evenly matched teams, and here's a bit of an interesting stat for you that might catch you by surprise. I'm looking at the two lineups, and I'm thinking that, in fact, the Warriors have the more collective finals experience amongst them, including a couple of premiership winners. I'll elaborate on that in a second. Yeah, I'm thinking they've actually got more collective finals experience than the Broncos. You look at the Broncos, they've got Reynolds, who of course has won one and lost one grand final with the Bunnies. Capewell, who did likewise with the Panthers, lost one and won one. But apart from that, that's pretty much it as far as finals experience goes for the Broncos. Let's look through the sun's out. That's also messing with my lighting, but not to worry. going to lean forward so my nose doesn't look so big with the sun on it. Or do I lean back? No, forward. Chansey Nickel-Klokstad, he played in the 2019 grand final with the Raiders. Wataniza Lesniak, I don't think he's played finals, but he was with the Panthers set up until mid-2019. That was the year before they made their first grand final, but he hasn't played. Tamari Martin, as I've said before, has played finals, including the 2017 grand final with the Cowboys. Sean Johnson played in the Warriors' last grand final appearance in 2011, believe it or not, 12 years ago. In the forwards, Murata Niokore played with the Eels in last year's losing grand final side. Tohu Harris with the Storm. He played one, lost one in 2016, then came back and won one in 2017 with the Storm over the Cowboys against Tamari Martin, by the way. There's an interesting little, they're now teammates. And Dylan Walker, of course, won with the Rabbitohs in 2014 and famously lost his premiership ring in Sydney Harbour after the game on a boat cruise when it slipped off. Probably wasn't a good fit. But anyway, so there you go. The Warriors actually have quite a bit of finals experience amongst them with a variety of clubs and a couple of winners there, like the Broncos. So who's going to win this one? Now, look, if this was at Mount Smart Stadium in Auckland, I would be tempted to lean towards the Warriors, but it is not. By the way, these two teams are kind of the success stories for the 2023 season. They both were contenders for the Wooden Spoon last year. I think they finished 14th and 15th. So they've done incredibly well this year to end in, is it second and third? Or second and fourth? Second and third, I think. So that's a success story in itself, and what a turnaround. The big question for the Broncos is, can they maintain that whole form and consistency they've carried throughout the season? Not that the Warriors haven't, mind you. Can they bring that? And can they sort of pick up where they left off after the week off last week? Look, it's going to be a great contest, I think, and much better than last night's one-sided affair. Who am I going to go with? Look, I think the Broncos are going to take this one under Kevy Walters. I think, and I'm not going to change my prediction from a few weeks ago that it'll be a Broncos-Panthers grand final. Look, I just hope it's a great contest. It comes down to the wire, or at least in the last 10 or 20 minutes. Yeah, look, I think the Broncos will get away with it in the end, but not necessarily by much. Let's hope whichever team wins doesn't sustain any major injuries. Anyway, bring it on. Can't wait. Also, one other little shout out to the Brisbane Lions. They're playing also in a preliminary final in Brisbane as well tonight at the Gabba. They're facing the Carlton Blues, who have had their most successful season in a long time. People are calling this Brisbane combo the Bryans, the Broncos and the Lions. Anyway, all the best to the Lions, and bring it on. Can't wait. Until next time, catch you under the crossbar. See ya.